Hello Summoners and welcome back to another ProGuides episode of OP Pick or Bans. In this video we're going to give you guys the picks for every role you need to watch out for in patch 9.10. The meta has shifted around a lot because of the changes to Scuttle Crab's spawn time, so we've been keeping a close eye on what the strongest emerging picks are. As always, we read your comments and are constantly working to improve our content. Down below, feel free to provide any suggestions or let us know if we're doing a good job. With that said, let's get started. First up is the top lane. Following his changes, Aatrox kicked off 9.9 with an abysmal start at a 43% win rate. Following his immediate hotfix, his win rate has slowly been climbing. While first-timers and less dedicated players deflated his win rate, it's absolutely certain that players more comfortable on him are currently terrorizing the top lane. Aatrox has again found his niche as a strong laner who carries the mid-game with his aggressive power spikes. At the cost of his free revive, Aatrox received significantly increased healing, rewarding players for aggressive play and accuracy. In spite of being an OP pick or ban, we do suggest players take the time to practice Aatrox in some normal games first. Get comfortable with his basic combo of knocking up an opponent with Q, followed up by his W, knocking up again with Q plus E, and aiming your last Q where they'll get pulled back to. It takes some practice to get this one down, but once you do, your opponents are going to wish they watched this video. One of Aatrox's strengths is his versatility in keystone choice. Conqueror, Comet, Electrocute, and Grasp are all fair game. While Conqueror was nerfed this patch, this nerf is not significant for Aatrox because of his options, and also because this nerf is more significant for champions who rely on Conqueror as their sole source of healing. Aatrox's base health regen is pretty low, however, to balance out his healing. During the lane phase, make sure to use your passive to make up for this. Pay close attention to its timer and use it to sustain or look to trade every time it's off cooldown. Once you finish your death stance, look to teamfight as much as possible. You'll want to initiate or join the fray when you have opportunities to get a takedown or if a nearby enemy is low. Pop your ult and get the kill or assist so that you can activate the revive portion of your ultimate. You're free to aggressively dive the enemy backline afterwards. Speaking of diving the backline, we've got another pick to talk about in the jungle. But before we do, if you guys are jungle mains, then please check out ProGuides.com using the description link below. You'll see serious improvements to your ability to jungle this season. We have a ton of resources from great pro junglers that'll help you out. Our first pick for the jungle is going to be Hecarim. In spite of his nerfs last patch and a nerf to Conqueror in this one, League's favorite pony isn't ready to be put down just yet. Like we talked about earlier, the Conqueror nerfs hurt more for those who rely on it as their only source of healing. Hecarim doesn't fall in this category, so he'll still be trampling over his enemies and 1v9ing. Scuttle Crab's spawn being pushed also gives him more time to farm before fighting for it. When playing Hecarim, make sure to take Ignite or Ghost. We suggest opening the game by focusing on clearing the jungle efficiently and kiting camps to stay healthy. Once you hit level 3 or 4, you can look to fight or gank with your offensive summoner advantage. Combined with Conqueror, Hecarim can be difficult to fight because of all the combat advantage that Ignite or Ghost gives him for longer skirmishes. Once he's able to clear the Krug and Raptor camps quickly, make sure that you're picking them up on spawn whenever possible. Whether it's by farming up or by picking up kills, make sure to find some way to get your items and hit your power spikes ASAP. Hecarim becomes a monster in the mid-game, especially after his Trinity Force buy. Remember, you want to fight as much as possible with item advantages to snowball your leads. We'd like to take a moment to go into panic mode because the tank meta is back. Just kidding, it's just Rammus, and a shout out to Amumu. Riot has been trying to make changes to bring tanks back into the game with little success, though there are a few exceptions. While tanks are still trying to claw back into the meta, Rammus has had no issues because he's a tank equipped with League's most valuable tool right now, damage. Whenever possible, pick up a Cinderhulk and a Thornmail immediately after to maximize your ability to take out your opponents. Against heavy AD teams, immobile champions, or teams that rely heavily on their ADC, pick Rammus for free low. Now let's talk about playing him. Unlike carry junglers, tanks have cheaper items so their power spikes come faster. You won't need to rely so much on full clearing your jungle, but you'll want to make sure you focus on your Raptors since that's one of the easiest camps for Rammus to take. Instead, focus more on ganking immobile lanes after or during your first jungle clear. Just make sure not to taunt a minion and you're guaranteed to get a flash or even a kill with every gank. With how strong your ganks are, look to camp lanes with no flash and pick up some free gold. Come the mid and late game, you'll want to either make picks, engage fights when you have advantages, or look to flank an enemy carry. Once Rammus reaches a target, it's difficult to peel him off because of the stacking slow on his ultimate. Next up is the mid lane. One of the champions who's benefited most from the Scuttle Crab changes is quite surprisingly Vladimir. With a delayed spawn, picking Vladimir mid doesn't mean you have to automatically concede the first Scuttle Crab. Vlad has been a strong pick for a while right now, but his early game weakness made him a risky pick in a meta that relied so heavily around taking lane priority at levels 1 and 2. Now that one of his weaknesses has become less exploitable, let's talk about how to play him. The most important thing as Vladimir while laning is not to be afraid of taking some damage. While his early game is weak and he's vulnerable to all-ins, you want to take short trades and then use your Q every time it's off cooldown to heal back up. After hitting level 6 and building some cooldown reduction, Vladimir's kill pressure increases significantly, so you can always play for those spikes, but don't underestimate Vlad's dive potential. His pool and ultimate make him great at initiating dives, then trading tower aggro. We do have a tower diving course coming up on ProGuides.com very soon, so if you guys are interested in that, then check out ProGuides.com next week. If you can take lane priority and see low enemies in a side lane, look to roam for a dive. In the mid to late game, look to teamfight every time your flash is off cooldown. You'll want to blow up squishies by using Vladimir's basic combo, which is flash plus E, ultimate, QE, using pool or protobelt whenever it's needed. This play is straightforward, hard to avoid, and honestly can still work with a couple of mistakes. Make sure to pick up Vladimir as he's a great flex pick for your fill games up on top and on mid lane. Alright, now on to the bot lane. Alright, let's start with Jinx. She's recently been written off and players seemingly have forgotten about how strong she is. Being one of the strongest late game carries and synergizing well with almost every meta support, Jinx is nothing short of OP right now. Litho Tempo allows champions to bypass the normal attack speed cap, and Jinx is one of the few champions who can take advantage of this without trolling her build. While Jinx is a late game hyper carry, players will find that she has strong kill pressure and can be rewarded for well executed aggression. From level 1, you can look to poke opponents with your rocket form after they go for a last hit. Whenever your support finds a solid engage, follow up with your E, W, and auto attacks in minigun form. Although immobile, Jinx's combination of damage and crowd control yield her a lot of aggressive playmaking tools. In matchups that are dangerous, you can sit back and farm safely because of your strong late game. In the later stages of the game, pick up side lane farm when it's safe to, and quickly rotate to join your team. While her damage numbers are ridiculous, Jinx is vulnerable and needs teammates to help her find success. Save your E to protect yourself from enemies who try to dive you, and alternate between your two gun forms to safely maximize your DPS. Our other choice for bot lane is going to be Draven. Draven is a champion who's capable of dominating the lane and snowballing his leads all the way to the victory screen. By picking Draven, you're able to take more control of your lane, take the game into your own hands, and rely less on your teammates. With the nerfs to Ginsu's, Draven is actually a safer pick than before, as he can match his opponent's strengths if he didn't create a lead in lane. The Essence Reaver buff this patch also means he'll be seeing more Sivir, which is a pretty good matchup for him. When you pick Draven, look to bully your opponents in whatever way you can, whether it's by slow pushing to deny farm or by freezing and forcing them into dangerous situations. In either case, look for all-in opportunities to cash in your stacks and get the ball rolling. The mid to late game is going to look pretty straightforward. With the lead you've created early on in the game, you'll look to teamfight as soon as possible, making sure to focus on targets who pose the greatest threat to you first. Since he's able to build Bloodthirster early on, Draven is less focused on front-to-back teamfights than other carries, and instead thrives in scenarios where higher damage threats are eliminated first. Of course, take each game case by case, but we give you permission to flash in for your kill on your main targets, and then play your axe-catching minigame for the rest of the fight. With that said though, let's move on to support. Nautilus has been seeing a lot more play after his buffs, and we've seen some AP builds emerge in solo lanes. A buff's a buff, so it's no surprise that Nautilus support's win rate has also been on the rise with his newfound power. Gameplay-wise, there's little to talk about though. At the moment, he's a better Thresh or a Blitzcrank. The only difference is that after landing a hook, you have a better chance of getting kills because of Nautilus's insane damage and lockdown. In lane, look for opportunities to hook when you have a minion wave advantage, and then roam when you have opportunities to do so as well. If you gain a lead bottom, call your jungler, force a fight, and look for tower or dragon. Don't forget to call for dives when your opponents are low. Nautilus is great for tanking the turret and locking down opponents. In teamfights, use your ult to peel or help a teammate dive a priority target. You'll use your hook to make great picks, engage on mispositioned targets, or follow up on any other crowd control your teammates might have. On whichever side of the battle you're on, make sure to spam your E and auto attack with your shield on. The damage really adds up. For you mage lovers out there, our other OP pick of the patch is going to be Zyra. Zyra has consistently held a high win rate for several patches and is sure to thrive in the current meta where champions that dive the backline are the norm. This patch, she received a nice quality of life buff to her plants. The buff actually ended up removing some extra damage that was being dealt to them. For support players who feel like they can't carry their games, picking Zyra up will put more game impact and teamfight presence into their own hands. During the laning phase, you'll want to be poking with your Q when your enemies try to farm. After getting your opponents low, then go into the bush and try and zone the opponents and apply some kill pressure on them. Whether or not you're getting kills in lane, look to land some poke to get some gold in your pocket as well. Teamfights are where Zyra thrives. It's common for her to lead damage charts as her ideal fights are drawn out, with her opponents exhausting resources to take her out. You'll play a more peel-centric or carry role in teamfights, setting up your plants and controlling fights with your ultimate. The only time you'll look to dive opponents is to finish them off, otherwise you'll be letting them come to you for your poke. Finally, while she hasn't earned the title of OP pick or ban, we're going to make a quick shout out to Yuumi. In spite of her poor win rate, our in-house analysts speculate it's due to players not playing her properly. Following her hotfix, and as many players are getting better with her, she might earn a real spot in our series' next patch. That concludes our OP picks and bans for the patch. If you guys are interested in improving your rank this season, then please use the description down below to check out ProGuides.com. We get you better at League of Legends and other games as well. That's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck on your next few games, and we'll see you on the Rift.